my dad's ICU room and saw it, her hand, perfectly manicured, wrapped around the tube, keeping him alive. For one split second, I thought I was about to watch my father's last breaths. Then the alarm I smashed on the wall locked us in together, me, my unconscious dad, and the HOA president from hell. Act 1. The First Blow. My name's Nate Carter, and if you've ever lived in a neighborhood with an HOA, you know the type clipboard queens who live to measure your grass? That was Karen White, our HOA president, a woman who thought bossing people around was her birthright. My dad was her biggest problem, because he wasn't afraid to call her out. When she tried to push a ridiculous new gate project that would drain everyone's savings, he started organizing neighbors against it. That made him a target. And while he was fighting pneumonia, sedated and hooked to machines, Karen decided to fight back in the dirtiest way imaginable. I'd been running on vending machine coffee and 3 hours of sleep a night, just living by the sound of those monitors. Beep, hiss, click like a metronome. I left the room for maybe 7 minutes, grabbed a cup of coffee, came back, and froze. She was there, standing over his bed in that pastel pink sweater she always wore, holding a fake badge like it gave her permission to be God. I watched her hand move, deliberate, sliding toward the ventilator tube. My coffee hit the floor. I slammed the code gray button, and instantly the room exploded, sirens blaring, lights strobing, the door locking shut. Karen whipped around, snarling like I'd just ruined her big moment. Move, she hissed, grabbing the IV pole like it was a spear. I planted myself between her and my dad. Don't touch him, I said, my voice flat, shaking but cold. Within seconds, nurses and a cop burst in. I pointed at her, my finger trembling. She tried to pull his ventilator, and just like that, the facade cracked. Karen went from furious to fake tears in a blink. This is a misunderstanding. I was just praying for him. I'm a family friend. Yeah, right. The officer cuffed her while she shrieked about being HOA president. Like that gave her diplomatic immunity. As they dragged her out, she twisted toward me and spat. You'll pay for this. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. Act 2. The Pressure Cooker. They booked her, but money buys arrogance. She made bail, hired a slick lawyer, and soon the story being spun was about a grieving, unstable son imagining things. That cut deep. I started questioning myself. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe no one would believe me. Sitting in that hospital hallway, head in my hands, I honestly thought about letting it go. I was exhausted, broken, just wanting peace. But then the hospital pulled the evidence. Camera footage showing Karen entering with a fake clergy badge. Ventilator logs with a pressure drop exactly when she touched the tube. And the worst of it, threatening text messages she'd sent to Maya, a young temp nurse from our neighborhood. Karen had been blackmailing her for weeks with bogus HOA fines, threatening her career, and finally ordering her just a little tug on the tube. No one will know. That was the moment the doubt in me died. Still, Karen wasn't done. 2 days later, while I grabbed coffee in the hospital lobby, she strolled right in wearing another pink top. Smirk plastered across her face. She didn't cross the security desk. She didn't need to. She just wanted me to see her, to know that a court order meant nothing to her. My hands were shaking, but I didn't scream. I didn't give her the scene she wanted. I just dialed 911, calm as stone, and reported a violation of the protective order. 90 seconds later, Officer Jordan came striding in, cuffed her in front of a silent crowd, and read the terms out loud for everyone to hear. That was the turning point, because then the neighbors started showing up. First Mrs. Gable, a retired librarian, clutching a folder of bogus fines, $500 for a non-approved garden hose. Then Mr. Henderson across the street. Then the Rosarios. Within an hour, my living room looked like an FBI sting operation. My dad hadn't just been standing up for himself. He'd been gathering evidence for all of us. Karen wasn't just a bully. She was running a racket. And suddenly, I wasn't alone anymore. We decided enough was enough. We were going to recall her as HOA president, and I was going to make sure everyone saw the monster she really was. Act 3. The Reckoning. The clubhouse was packed, neighbors shoulder to shoulder, the air buzzing with tension. Karen's last allies sat stiff in the corner, looking like they wanted to disappear. I stood at the front with a projector and a laptop, hands sweating but voice steady. First, I walked them through the numbers, fine revenue skyrocketing, shady contracts handed to her brother-in-law. People murmured, nodding, their suspicions confirmed. Then I dimmed the screen and said, but this isn't just about money. The projector flickered to grainy black and white footage. Karen in her pink sweater. Slipping into my dad's ICU room, the room went dead silent. They watched her lean over, her hand reaching for the tube, and then they saw me rush back in, slamming the alarm. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Next, I blew up the text messages on the screen, each word stark and damning. If the problem goes away, everyone is better off. Just a little tug on the tube. You could hear people whisper, "Oh my God!" One woman started to cry, and right then, patched in from jail, Karen couldn't help herself. She snapped. Her voice, high-pitched and furious, came through the speaker. It's fake. They're all jealous liars. This is a setup. Her lawyer tried to hush her, but it was too late. The mask was gone. Everyone saw the truth. From the back, Henderson started chanting, "Vote! Vote! Vote!" It spread like wildfire. Within minutes, the recall was unanimous. Karen was officially out. But it didn't stop there. The DA consolidated everything. Attempted murder, tampering with medical equipment, forgery, extortion, witness intimidation. Brick by brick, they built a wall of charges so heavy, even her money couldn't dig her out. The trial was brutal. They played the ICU footage for the jury, who sat stone-faced, watching the woman in pink reach for that tube. They saw the ventilator logs dip. They read the texts out loud. Nurse Maya cried on the stand, admitting how Karen had blackmailed her. Neighbors testified about years of harassment. When it was my turn, Karen's lawyer tried to trip me up. "Isn't it true your father had a dispute with the HOA over a gate?" "Yeah," I said, deadpan. But last I checked, disagreeing over a gate isn't a death penalty offense. A couple jurors nodded. The verdict didn't take long. Guilty on every major charge. At sentencing, Judge Romero's voice rang out. 8 years in state prison. Full restitution to every family she'd defrauded. Lifetime ban from setting foot on an HOA board or a hospital without escort. The gavel cracked like thunder. I looked at her, then hair greasy, orange jumpsuit sagging. No makeup, no power. For the first time, she looked small, pathetic, and terrified. Closing. I didn't cheer. I didn't celebrate. I just let the weight of it settle in. Justice had finally landed. Today, my dad's in rehab, fighting his way back with that stubborn grin of his. Our neighborhood is calmer, freer. No more rulers on lawns, no more extortion letters. Just families living like families again. And me, I learned that when someone tries to play God with the people you love, you don't back down, you fight until the wrong is made right. Because titles are paper, but love is steel. This is Nate, and you're watching Everyday Karen Tales.